Good afternoon. My name is Courtney Walker. I'm the Stormwater Program Manager for Douglas County, and I wanted to give the community an update on the various projects that we have going on in Douglas County as it relates to Flood Awareness Week for the state of Nevada. So I've got a couple pictures up here on the screen, and obviously we have some drainage and flooding problems throughout the county that we're working to address. And then we've also, this past summer, had a fire, the Numbers Fire in the Pinenut Creek area. And we'll talk about a couple projects that the county is working on to help mitigate some of the impacts from that fire. So first, I would like to go into the Johnson Lane Area Drainage Master Plan implementation. A little bit of history is we had some major flash flood events in 2014 and 2015 that affected the Johnson Lane area. This ended up ultimately prompting a lawsuit between residents and Douglas County. The litigation was completed and settled, and a settlement agreement was created. And in that settlement agreement, the county was required to construct 2 basins that are identified within the Johnson Lane Area Drainage Master Plan, the Stephanie Detention Basin and the Romero Detention Basin. And so we're going through the process right now with BLM to obtain approval to construct those improvements on their land. And we're ultimately seeking approval for all the improvements that are identified in the Johnson Lane Area Drainage Master Plan, so that as funding is identified, we can construct additional improvements. These basins will assist greatly with reducing the amount of off-site drainage and flooding issues that are coming into the developed area. And they will be constructed on BLM land, and they will be maintained by the Douglas County Stormwater Maintenance Division. So what we're having to do is go through the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA, process to construct the improvements. And that's basically a process where we have to go through and look at the cultural resource impacts, the biological resource impacts, and any hydrology impacts that could be in the area where the land is slated for construction of these improvements. So it should take over a year probably to get those approvals. And we plan to be able to construct the basins in the spring of 2022. Here is a map showing the 2 basins that we'll be constructing, and that's the Romero Wash Detention Basin and the Stephanie Wash Detention Basin. All of the blue polygons on this map are the other detention basins that are designed and planned for in the Drainage Master Plan. And as funding allows, these are the additional improvements we are seeking approval for. They're all primarily to be constructed on BLM land. Here's just a small schematic of what the detention basins look like and where they are located in the Romero Detention Basin, and here's the Stephanie Detention Basin. And this should greatly reduce the amount of off-site flows. We'll contain the water here and the sediment, and then we can go through and remove the sediment from each of the basins rather than chasing it through the subdivision. Now I'll talk a little bit about the Numbers Fire Debris Flow Mitigation Basin. So we did a tour with the BLM in July, just after the Numbers Fire was fully contained. The watershed was pretty severely burned in many different areas. And so we proposed to do a basin to contain all of the flows, so that we can hopefully mitigate some of the impacts of the loss of vegetation in this watershed. This basin should also be constructed on BLM land, and this is just a really rough drawing of what it would look like. And so we're going through the approvals with BLM to be able to construct this basin, and we received funding from the NRCS, which is the Natural Resource Conservation Service, to be able to design and construct 75%. They'll fund to construct this basin. So it's pretty exciting that we got funded through their Emergency Watershed Protection Program. This is just a rough cost estimate of what it should cost but we'll know more as we go through the design process, which we're starting currently. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about the Ruhenstroth area drainage master planning that is occurring, and the Smelter Creek right-of-way application to BLM. This particular crossing is on Buckskin Court in Ruhenstroth, and we have obviously several issues in the Ruhenstroth community regarding flooding. A lot of them are similar to Johnson Lane issues. So we're doing a comprehensive drainage master plan in this particular area as well, so that we can really look at the drainage planning overall and work with BLM, since their land surrounds this neighborhood as well, to see what we can do to help alleviate some issues like the one shown in this picture. This purple area is the whole watershed area for Smelter Creek and the Ruhenstroth area. A lot of the drainage, similarly to Johnson Lane, is all coming from the Pinenuts and flows to the developed area. The focus area in blue, that's the urban neighborhood area. Here's a few of the pictures of the drainage issues that we see. And so one of the main things is we want to create an all-weather access for some of these areas where Smelter Creek flows over the road and we have cul-de-sacs. So we have some access issues there during heavy events. And then we also have several other areas where culverts point at private residences. We have detention basins on private lots. And so there's a lot of different things we're looking at to try to make some improvements for the flow of water in the Ruhenstroth area. Smelter Creek is obviously can be a very big problem. We have done a lot of maintenance on where the creek runs through private property, but we have not been able to do maintenance on this downstream portion in red, and that's on BLM land. And so we really need to obtain access and permission to perform the maintenance on BLM land so that we can maintain that drainage flow through that area with a lessened impact to the roads. So that's what we've applied to BLM for, and we're hoping to start working with them on that process shortly. So as a part of that, we had to put together a plan of development, and that helps to explain to BLM exactly what it is that we're going to do, why we need to do it, and what type of access and equipment we would be needing in order to accomplish the work. And with that, if you have any questions about what's going on in Douglas County regarding stormwater, floodplain management, overall drainage maintenance, then you may contact me in my office, 775-782-6215, or you can always shoot me an email. And I look forward to hearing from everyone if they have any questions. Thank you, and thanks for participating in our virtual Nevada flood awareness.